Hey guys, I'm Sarah,
Hey guys, Steven here.
and we're gonna walk you through a bit of the gameplay of Unto the End.
Yeah, it's our demo from EGX. And then we've edited it a couple times, and most recently we've shown at the Steam Summer Festival,
Right.
which was a lot of fun to be part of. We start you out in the training, right? This is a memory the father's having of home.
That's right. And the actual game won't start like this. We just started this for the demo.
Right, just kind of get you familiar with the combat.
Yeah.
Combat's a big part of the gameplay. We really tried hard to make something that made the most of 2D for us, really something distinct. And we'll kind of walk you through some of that here. So a lot of it's based on high and low. Judging high and low attacks, replying with high and low attacks, blocking high and low. And we made it so that all of the moves the father has are available from the beginning.
Right.
And so the experience is really built around this idea of the player mastering the skill set. And the player is the reason the father is good. The father is just a humble warrior trying to get home. And without the player's skills, they're not a super knight or demigod or anything. So without the player's skills, they wouldn't be able to succeed.
So we're going through this pretty quickly.
So big part of it, reading high. So opponent winds up high. Then you want to assume a high block.
Block
And then you deflect that. Now once you block something, you have to re-block.
Here we are doing it low.
So if you ever played Punch-Out, it's exactly the same way as Little Mac putting up his guard.
Yeah, we were very inspired by Punch Out.
Yeah. Rolling is, you can use it to avoid attacks, but it's unlike Dark Souls or a lot of other games nowadays. It's not the main way you defend. The main way is really to block the attacks.
And if you roll too many times, you will get tired.
Yeah, you get exhausted. You have like a labored recovery. Same with jumping. And so that we don't have a stamina system in the sense of like a stamina bar or a health bar. We put all that in the character's animations. So countering, I'm reading where the opponent ends, and then I'm attacking opposite.
So she ends high, she's
Yeah.
open low, and so he hits low.
Yeah. So faking is all about high and low as well. I fake high, I read how my opponent flinches, and then I strike where they're open.
Low. There.
Yeah.
We did all the voices for these characters, so it's funny to hear us
Yeah.
grunting and beating each other.
So opponents will chain attacks together, and then I'm reading and reacting like before, but in a combo kind of sense.
So always looking high,
Yeah,
high.
yeah, low,
Low.
yeah. So here I've blocked a number of attacks, and now I'm countering at the spot that my wife in this case is open. So she's ended high, she's guarding high, her sword's up high, and now I want to strike low. So here I attack into her guard, right? So then I'm knocked off balance. And so as a player, you're always going back and forth on like how aggressive do I want to be, how defensive do I want to be. You need to be judging left-right distance between opponents, seeing if you can use terrain and things like that, kicking dirt.
Yeah, there's a couple little secret things
Yeah.
hidden in there.
Yeah, jumping off walls.
Yeah, using the terrain to your advantage. The shoulder bash.
If you shoulder someone who's on the ground, you trip over them. And so we try to put all these little extra bits into things to help teach the player in terms of like what kind of game it is. We want them to understand it so they get the most out of it, really. So we'll jump into the main part of the demo. This is like in the game. And so
And in the actual game, this is about
a third
of the way through. Yeah.
And so you saw I was over by a fire. You use fires to go back to the sparring at any time. And I try to simulate what a first-time player might experience with some of these things.
Yeah.
And we actually started the demo with that trap, which actually functions a lot like a combat attack.
And it's really here to teach you how to roll.
Yeah. And to get your mindset like, well, this is going to be punishing. It's not, it's going to be unforgiving in parts. So you collect things by looting creatures that you defeat, exploring the world, trading with creatures. This is just showing that you can actually navigate around the world without a torch by
It's
hitting
difficult.
walls.
It
We've
will
had some
definitely
players do it, then we show that because you can drop your torch, and if you run out of supplies, you can't make one until you find those supplies. So the whole point is every action matters, and
Everything's deliverable.
yeah, we really wanted to dial in this idea of survival in a way, but not in like a cooking, gathering kind of way, but more in the decisions you make have consequence. So if you throw your dagger off a cliff, if you drop your torch and forget it, if you decide, if you run out of supplies, so you don't have anything to recreate those. So here, if I drop my torch, I can create a new one.
At this point, you don't have the supplies, but
Well, I don't need
Oh,
to, yeah. I don't need to create it here, but the thing is those supplies are shared with the dagger as well as my armor.
right. So you have to make choices.
So you're
later.
making these kind of survival-based choices. And then we have kind of lore bits scattered in the items you collect. So lock of my wife's hair, different trinkets to kind of talk about kind of the history of the spaces you're moving through. It's the first real opponent you're facing here. So if I attack into his guard, then I'm going off balance every time. Right, so what I want to do is watch where he attacks and then attack opposite. So everything again is about reading and reacting. Very much like Punch Out, like the different combatants you fight in Punch Out. And we try to put a ton of detail into every single opponent. Like every single opponent is unique, they have different challenges. Every encounter is handcrafted.
Yeah.
Set
No
up.
two of these enemies are the same.
Right.
And even the way you fight them, like let's say if you died there and fought
Right.
that guy again,
Unfolds, yeah, in different
it
ways.
would be different.
Because of how we built the AI, like that guy just dodged my dagger there, right? And so I always want to be not just reading and reacting to the opponents, or not only reading and reacting to the opponents, but to the actions and their reactions. So if they dodge or they run away, like what do I do? How do I deal with that? So I'm throwing my dagger. I only have one dagger. If I throw it down a crevasse, I have to make a new one. In this case, it just went over here so I can get it again. You can see no HUD at all. Really try to keep the focus on the player and the world. And we spent a lot of time building the environments so they have backstory and kind of history to them. And it's okay if players don't get that. Like we tried to make them as rich as we could, but some people will piece it together and some won't. So at rest fires, it's like a point of respite, right? They're not save points.
Right, it's where you can start crafting if you need to.
Make tonic, heal your wounds if you have any.
Yep.
So we have checkpoints like Hyperlight Drifter, and rest fires are really a place to do the crafting. They're not like a save point like.
And that sparring practice is to go back to the training that you saw at the beginning.
Right, which you can do at any time. Yeah, bonfire. The rest fires are not like bonfires in Dark Souls, where they're like your only save
Right.
point. So now I've made bone bracers. You can see them on his forearms there. And so those absorb damage when you take hits, but they also break down. So eventually they'll break off, and you can repair them if you only take a minimum, like a small amount of damage to them at the next rest fire. If they totally take too much damage, they'll break off and then they'll be gone.
Right, you'll need to collect more bones
Right.
to create more.
So it's kind of this like a reward for being careful and skillful in combat.
We also use this area, it's really important where you drop your torch
Absolutely.
when you start fighting, and to stay within the light of
Exactly,
the
yeah. Because blocking is kind of a different thing, right? Like people are so used to rolling. We use these different techniques to teach you the value of block. Same with this little cave done in a different way. like with the negative space of the world.
This guy's tough.
Yeah, he is. Got lots of moves. Attacks off your guard and stuff like that. So you can maybe hear the breathing changing as I've taken some injury. I got a little bit of blood on me, but not a lot, so I'm wounded, but I'm not dying. If I take too many wounds, I actually can bleed to death. I can actually use herbs to stop the bleeding, to slow down the bleeding, but I have to go to a fire to actually heal the wounds. So here I can repair my armor, but that takes supplies away from things that I might need for dagger or making a dagger or torch. So a couple tiers of armor, so you can keep upgrading it, and that makes it more durable. It also changes how it looks on the character. We intentionally made the soundscape very atmospheric. We wanted it very much to be about the father's struggle, so his breathing is very important, and the sounds of the world that he's navigating through, which are unfamiliar lands to him. He's very much caught up in this world that's in flight, and then he's reacting to what's going on with the creatures, as the creatures are to him. They don't know what a human is. They've never seen a human before. Some light. So you can see here, he's coming out of this cave, and he's in the aftermath of a battle. So that's to show that we don't pull any punches, but the bigger picture, the bigger idea is that we put the player into these situations that seem really hard at first, but actually can be overcome pretty easily.
Right. Almost like each battle, especially these group fights, are a bit of a puzzle.
Yeah. So there I can use friendly fire, which is a big part of our gameplay. See, I drop my sword, so now I have kind of like a, oh man, what do I do moment. So just kind of, so you can see the blood on me, the blood on my opponent. So I got pretty close to defeating him there. But now we'll show a little bit more of like kind of the mastery path, I think. If I can pull it off here.
Yeah.
So you can actually defeat opponents pretty easily, but it takes familiar with the controls and the father's moveset. But most importantly is staying calm in the moment, which is a big part of, we want to capture that feeling of being in a sword fight, right? Like the tension, the sweaty palms. It's just showing you these kind of small details of how we kind of balance artifacts. Like the spear does a lot of damage, but if you throw it away and are kind of careless with it and hit a wall, it'll break. If it kills an opponent, it'll break. And so again, you have to be careful with these items. Everything matters, every decision is important. Pretty proud of like little small details, like snow will gather on the father's shoulders as he's moving through a snowy area, and then if he jumps or rolls or takes a hit, it'll flake off. So that guy's pretty tough. And that moment is one of, we call them a story moment, like a decision moment, where the player can fight, like you saw there. They can see if they can help them out through trade.
But if they're paying attention, what he does here at the beginning,
Exactly.
you might decide to put your weapon away.
Right.
Or just to walk up to him instead of throw a spear at him.
Exactly. So the big idea is, how do two creatures that can't communicate, right? So trade, the absence of combat or combat.
So here we're going to offer some herbs to help him and his...
kinsman that's fallen in battle. So this item that you get actually has carry-on effect later on in the adventure. It's used for other creatures you meet. If you defeated him, you get a different item, which has a slightly different effect. And that, in that way, we allow the player to kind of shape the journey that they want. So that's it, guys, for the
end
demo.
of the demo. Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Cheers.